The sun was setting over the small town, painting the streets in golden light, when a sound broke the quiet hum of evening engines. A group of bikers known in town for their loud rides and tough appearances were cruising down Main Street, not expecting anything out of the ordinary. But then, a tiny voice cut through the roar, fearful and impossible to ignore. "I can't close my legs," a little girl said, her words trembling with a mix of fear and pain. For a moment, time seemed to stop. The bikers, who were used to facing chaos and trouble, froze in confusion and concern. Who was she? What had happened? And why was a child saying something so alarming on a busy street? People nearby started to gather, drawn by the unusual scene, their whispers growing louder. The atmosphere shifted from casual curiosity to a tense, anxious silence. No one knew what to do, and the bikers, despite their rough exterior, felt an instinctive responsibility to act. The girl's eyes darted around, searching for help, her small hands gripping something tightly. Every second felt like a lifetime, and the town watched, caught between fear and disbelief, as a situation no one could have predicted unfolded before them. What happened next would shock everyone, changing the way the entire town saw itself and each other. But before anyone could react, a sudden sound made the bikers stiffen, and all conversation died. The secret behind the little girl's words was about to be revealed, and it was far stranger than anyone imagined. The girl's small frame trembled as the bikers gently knelt down, trying to make sense of her words. Her name was Lily, and no one in town had seen her before. Rumors had swirled about a new family moving into the old Johnson house on the edge of town, but nobody knew much beyond that. Lily's parents were nowhere in sight, and the girl seemed lost, both physically and in her own thoughts. The bikers exchanged worried glances. They were used to handling tough situations, broken engines, late-night bar fights, but this was different. This was about a child, and something about her voice, quiet yet urgent, made their stomachs twist with concern. One of them, a man named Marcus, gently asked, "Lily, what happened? Are you hurt?" She shook her head slowly, tears brimming in her eyes. But the fear in her expression made it clear she couldn't explain fully. Around them, the town's evening calm had completely vanished. Doors opened, and neighbors peeked out, curious but cautious. Whispers floated through the air. Who is this girl? Why can't she? The suspense hung thick, as if the air itself was holding its breath. No one knew what had brought Lily to the street at that exact moment, or what she meant by her words. The bikers felt the weight of the unknown pressing down on them, realizing that whatever had happened, it wasn't something simple or ordinary. The town, once quiet and familiar, now felt unpredictable and tense, as if it were waiting for something that none of them could have imagined. And Lily, she stared at them, clutching her secret tightly. Unable to speak the words that could change everything, Marcus gently held Lily's hand, trying to offer comfort, but she pulled back slightly, her small fingers trembling. "I can't," she whispered, her voice barely audible. The bikers exchanged worried looks. Something was wrong, but it wasn't obvious what. They had faced dangerous situations before, but this felt fragile, delicate, and terrifying all at once. Meanwhile, people in the crowd began murmuring among themselves. Mrs. Reynolds, who had lived in the town for over 40 years, whispered to a neighbor, "I've never seen her before. Who is she? Where are her parents?" The mystery deepened. Some were concerned, others curious, but everyone felt the unease settling over the street like a shadow. One of the bikers, a woman named Tanya, crouched closer to Lily and softly asked, "Did something happen at home?" Lily shook her head again, but looked toward the old Johnson house at the end of the street. The house, long abandoned and rumored to be haunted, now held a new layer of tension. Lights flickered in the upper windows, and a low, unfamiliar sound echoed from inside. Some of the townsfolk took a cautious step back, sensing that the girl's fear wasn't just about her legs, it was connected to something far bigger, something hidden within those walls. Meanwhile, the bikers realized they weren't just dealing with a frightened child. They were facing a situation that involved the whole town. As the evening shadows stretched across the street, whispers grew into urgent questions. Who had brought Lily here? Why couldn't she move? And what secret was the Johnson house hiding that no one had dared uncover in years? The tension thickened, leaving everyone by townsfolk and Lily on edge, waiting for the moment when the truth would finally emerge. The flickering lights from the Johnson house seemed to pulse with a life of their own, and Lily's gaze was fixed on the upper windows, as if something or someone was watching her. Her breathing grew shallow, and her small body shook with fear. Marcus and Tanya glanced at each other, the unease between them thickening. They had no idea what they were about to face, but instinct told them that stepping closer could change everything. From the crowd, voices whispered, some urgent, some fearful. A few braver townsfolk edged forward, but even they hesitated near the threshold of the old house. The sound that had been faint moments before at Low Creek, like someone pacing, grew louder. Lily's eyes widened, tears spilling down her cheeks. "They're coming," she stammered, her voice barely audible over the evening wind. Suddenly, the wind picked up, rattling the old windows, and the streetlights flickered as if warning them. The bikers formed a protective circle around Lily, sensing that whatever danger was approaching wasn't ordinary. Tanya could feel her heart racing, and Marcus's jaw tightened. Every instinct screamed at them to act, but uncertainty held them frozen in place. Then, a shadow moved across the house's upper balcony, swift and deliberate. Gasps rose from the crowd as the sense of dread became almost tangible. Lily whimpered, clutching Marcus's arm, her small body trembling with anticipation. The town, once quiet and safe, now stood on the edge of chaos, caught between fear and helpless curiosity. Something was about to happen, something no one could ignore, and as the shadow shifted again, every eye turned toward it, waiting for the moment that would change everything. Yet no one knew how close that moment truly was. Just as the bikers tightened their circle around Lily, a sudden crash echoed from inside the Johnson house. A window shattered, sending shards of glass tumbling onto the lawn, and the crowd gasped, stepping back in shock. Lily screamed, her small hands flying to her mouth, and even the bikers flinched at the unexpected violence. From the broken window, a figure emerged, tall, shadowed, and moving with a strange, unnatural calm. The bikers instinctively shifted forward, but Lily froze, her fear twisting into recognition. It's him, she whispered, her voice trembling. The name wasn't spoken aloud, but it carried a weight that made even the braver townsfolk shiver. No one had expected this. The person stepping out of the darkness was connected to a secret no one had known about Lily or her family. Suddenly, another sound came from behind the house, heavy footsteps on the wooden floorboards. It wasn't just the one figure anymore. Something inside the Johnson house had been waiting, something that was now actively moving toward them. The bikers exchanged tense looks. They had anticipated danger, but not a confrontation that involved more than one unknown threat. Lily clutched Marcus's arm tighter, her small face pale but determined. The town, which had gathered cautiously at the edge of the street, now stood paralyzed, unsure whether to flee or stay. Every eye was fixed on the house as shadows shifted in impossible ways across the walls. The tension was unbearable, the mystery deepened, and the stakes had just skyrocketed. Whatever was happening, it was bigger than anyone had imagined, and the moment of truth was fast approaching. Yet no one could predict what would happen next. The tall figure stepped fully into the fading light, and for a moment, everyone froze. Then, with a sudden movement, he dropped to the ground and crawled toward Lily, not menacingly, but in a way that made her flinch instinctively. The bikers stepped forward, ready to confront him, but Lily's small hand shot out. "Stop! He's my brother," she cried, her voice breaking. The crowd gasped. No one had known that Lily had a brother or that he had been hidden away for years. The man, ragged and trembling, looked up at the bikers and townsfolk, fear and relief mixing in his eyes. He explained in a hoarse voice that he had been trapped inside the house after an accident, unable to escape, and had been trying to reach Lily for help. The reason she couldn't move properly, she explained, was because of the fear and tension paralyzing her in that moment, her body reacting to the overwhelming shock of seeing him emerge from the shadows. The bikers helped him up, and the townsfolk slowly approached, curiosity now mingled with compassion. The tension in the street began to ease, replaced by disbelief and relief. Lily and her brother embraced, and the story of the Johnson house, a place that had seemed cursed and frightening, began to transform in the minds of the townspeople into one of hope and reunion. Just as everyone breathed a sigh of relief, a faint mechanical worry sound came from inside the house. Everyone turned toward the broken windows, realizing the house wasn't as empty as they thought. Something else had been waiting all along. Lily looked back at the bikers, wide-eyed, whispering, "It's not over."